Are you one of those people where you struggle a little bit to work out what your specialist area is? Do you feel like you're a generalist? You're someone who knows a lot about lots of different things, and part of your talent is about knowing lots of things. My guest today is really going to help you to get your head around how this is actually a specialism in and of itself. Stay tuned.
You're listening to The Brand Compass, conversations to navigate your way to building a brand fit for purpose and poised for success. Here's your host, 𝗘𝗣𝗜𝗦𝗢𝗘.
Hello there, my friend, and welcome back if you're a returning listener. If you're new to the show, I'm 𝗘𝗣𝗜𝗦. I'm your host on this conversational journey, and this is the corner of the net where we all get together and we chat about the ways in which your personal brand meets the humans you serve. We're adding to my series of conversations today with people from completely different fields of expertise to just come on and share how they're faring out in the world, shaping a version of themselves that they're happy to share with the outside world and what that looks and feels like for them. Today I have a gorgeous edition for you, and this time we'll delve into the diverse world of healthcare and specifically the specialized training of healthcare professionals. So let me give you some background to my guest and we can dive right in. So today I have the pleasure of talking to Matthew Attfield. He is the founder and managing director of Attfield Services, a training provider dedicated to working in the healthcare sector and focused on mandatory, clinical and specialist areas that mostly impact nurses, doctors and other healthcare professionals. Ashfield works contractually with companies like Avery Healthcare, Cornerstone, Practice Plus, and the NHS. And Matthew's focus is on the strategic oversight of the business as well as the structure, delivery, and quality control of the services. Outside of work, he loves the cultural, tactile experiences he gets from traveling, trying new food, as well as going to the theatre and meeting new people. He also co-runs, if he isn't busy enough, a food-based community charity called The Good Slice of Pizza with his good friend, Adam Cherry. Welcome, Matthew.
Hello. Good morning.
Hello. So, to kick things off, let's give our listeners a little bit of insight into your backstory. It's a wide and varied backstory, Matt.
Just a little bit.
So can you share a little bit how you came to sit today doing the work that you do, and then we can get into your strengths and passions, which I really want to get into.
Of course, yeah. So I kind of fell into what I do. I never actually set out to be in business or run a business before. I just always liked working hard and trying to make a living for myself, basically. But going back about 14 years ago, I'd been at a wedding, then ended up in a nightclub after the wedding. As you do, few too many glasses of champagne. And then I was in this nightclub smoking area, naughty, I know. But I was in there and I'd met someone and they come up to me saying, I want to offer you a job. I was like,
This is freaky.
Yeah, it's a little bit. Like, who does that at 2 a.m. in a nightclub? Like, that's a bit odd. I didn't believe him. And he explained what he did and so on and so forth. And I was like, well, why me? Why have you picked me out of everybody else that's here? And he said, I saw you talking to some street pastors out the front, and more and more and more were gathering to listen to hear what you had to say. And I thought, this guy can sell. So he offered me a job, basically selling healthcare training into the health and social care sector. So, as I mentioned, I didn't really believe him at the time, and I kind of was like, oh, well, anybody can print business cards on Vistaprint on the internet, and I forgot all about it. I put the business card in my wallet, and then come Monday, when I was a bit more sober-minded, I was like, oh yeah, I remember this. And I thought, I'm going to Google the company rather than call his mobile directly. I Googled him, and I was like, okay, this is legit. I phoned the main line, got through to his PA, and they were like, yep, that sounds like Chris. We will get him to give you a call back. So he gave me a call back and said, Matt, I remember you. Yep, come on down, come have an interview. So I did. And basically I started working for this guy in the sales department. I did a year there. And then I moved into the admin department after a year. So his company does exactly what my company does, which is health and social care training.
Today, that is. Yeah.
Yes, today, yeah. But when I worked for Chris, Unfortunately, the company wasn't ran to the best of its abilities, but I learned so much of what works, what doesn't work, and when unfortunately it all kind of in the
Fell
past
apart. Yeah,
fell
yeah.
apart. Yeah, that's a great way of putting
Yeah.
it. I thought I really enjoyed what we were doing, and actually the impact we were making to the sector. Even if you're selling it, you're selling a course that then is going to be delivered by a trainer, and that person, a learner on that course, may actually learn something new and a different way of providing care to someone, make their experience of the care they're receiving better. They may save someone's life. The impact at the end goal was nice. I'm not a hands-on person in a sense of I couldn't be a nurse. I take my hat off to every healthcare professional that there is out there, because it's not my vocation, it's not my job that I could do, but there are people out there, but they still need that training. So I saw, okay, there's a gap there that I can kind of create Ashfield Services and still facilitate that training. So after a few months of it all falling apart, I got myself a job, and then I thought, actually, I want to get back involved in this. Yeah. So I basically did. And that was nearly 11 years ago now. So we first started as, it was Ashfield Consultancy, and we're now Ashfield Services, but it was 11 years ago that I started, nearly 11 years ago now. And I would say the rest is kind of history. I've learned as I've gone along. I did fall into this, as you say. I never planned to do it. It was just, I want to do it, and then it just sort of happened, really.
But then your mum was also, she was in healthcare, wasn't she? So you already had this kind of affiliation with the industry.
Exactly, yeah. My mum's always been always worked in healthcare, really. Her early years she didn't, but from when I was a young age she did. She was a healthcare assistant, and then she moved into being a midwife support worker. So I've always seen the hard work that goes in from any angle from within the health and social care sector, and I take my hat. Like I said, I take my hat off to everybody, but I do take my hat off to my mum as well. And my mum always encouraged me to go into the healthcare sector. And I was like, Mum, I don't think it's for me. I really don't think it's for me. She was like, oh, you'd be really good. But in a roundabout way, I've still managed to find my place within the health and social care sector. And I like the impact that we make. We work with some amazing clients that deliver some amazing services to their service users. And I couldn't be more prouder of Ashfield and the team that I work with.
And now your team is how big? Remind me.
So we're about 15 people strong, so we are a small team, but we are dotted all around the country. So our clients are all over the country, so as is my team, they're all over the country. We tend to work quite remotely. We don't really have like a base. We do have a base, but we don't have a base where everyone's kind of works
moving
from.
Around though.
Exactly that. It's dependent on where our clients need us. Basically.
And what I like is that they are all employees. You've gotten to the point where you've gotten all these contracts and everybody is a solid team. You're not pulling in contractors all the time.
Yeah,
they're actually part of a solid team.
Exactly that. We started with contractors and subcontractors and working with freelance people just to kind of get the ball rolling, really. Yeah. But when we became more established and as a company, the work became more steady. I thought actually the best way to invest in Ashfield is have a team of recruited trainers that we work with. They make up our clinical department. I have a head of clinical, a couple of clinical leads, some subject-specific clinical leads as well. But then the rest of trainers that go out and they're out teaching, educating, basically. And I felt like that was the best way to grow the company. It brings everyone together. They work collaboratively together.
Just trust and loyalty as well, isn't it?
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Just for the benefit of the listeners, because they just so that they understand like the zone of specialism. So what was the one that you were telling me about? Was it a tissue?
Tissue viability, yeah. So
Thank
we've
you.
got a gentleman.
Explain this.
So we've got a gentleman, his name's Colin, and he is our tissue viability clinical lead for the company. So he is everything skin based, so wounds, pressure ulcers, all of that, everything to do with the skin. That is, Colin is your man, basically. So we were very strict on any tissue viability subject that we teach has to be delivered by a tissue viability nurse. Colin was one of our freelancers, as well as a handful of other tissue viability nurses that we also worked with. But we were very fortunate enough to be able to take Colin last year and offer him a full-time job. So he's with us full-time now and is our dedicated tissue viability educator now. And he's the go-to man for that.
Man, fascinating. Oh, all right. So in our now we know that Colin has a specialism, right? So let's lead ourselves on to in our prep conversation. We were trying to talk a little bit about you having a specialism and you feeling like, oh gosh, man, I dig into so many damn things. I do big picture, I do small picture. You know, I think a lot of people listening will feel similar to you. So I thought maybe we could unpack that a little bit in this episode together. So can you maybe share how you feel about trying to nail down this whole area of like, ooh, what's your specialism?
I've always said that I am master of all, jack of all trades, but master of none. I don't see myself as being a specialist in one particular area. I do struggle to get my head around that. I think partly for that is because of overseeing everything within the company. I have amazing people that are almost subject matter experts, specialists within their own key areas, and it's for me it's orchestrating that and making sure that they've got everything they need to be able to do what they need to do. So I need to have a basic understanding of what we're trying, what the goal is, what we're trying to achieve, how we're going to get there, and then giving them the tools, the time, the platform to be able to actually achieve what we've mutually agreed that we're going to achieve. So because of that, I feel like I've kind of got a bit of a base knowledge in all areas of my company, but I never claim that I'm a specialist or an expert in each of those. No, I lean on my team. My team lean on me then for the guidance, direction of where we're taking that, and then they apply their own skills to that. So for me, it's I don't feel like I have this specific specific skill. My skill is the organizational skill, the leadership skill, the being able to coordinate what needs to happen, when it needs to happen. So yes, I guess you could say that is one skill in itself, but I like to look at my team realistically. You know, I think they're all incredible as they are as individuals, and their knowledge base is phenomenal in what they know, and I'm not going to go in and say, oh, it's got to be done like this, where it's down to the nitty-gritty details. I'll say, like, this is what we want to achieve, and we could do it like this, and then they put their input in, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm not going to actually go against that, because you know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Let's try that out. So,
all right, so we're going to play with this a bit now.
Yeah, a little bit.
a little bit. So I thought you might like it. I had the similar feeling myself, and then after having a look at some of the strength stuff, I understood myself a little bit more about this. But back in August 2017, I wrote something, and I remembered when we were talking, I'd written something somewhere. I had to go and search it. But it was August 2017, and I had a bit of a revelation about this actually being a generalist is being a specialism in itself. So what I actually wrote on LinkedIn was in this article I put there, I'm the kind of consultant that you should want to have in your pocket because I like closing the loop. And I don't do anything in silos. So to me, everything is dynamic and has like a domino effect on something else. So my specialism is that I'm highly interested in the working whole of a business. So the heart, the skeleton, the nerves, the tissue, the organs, the hormones, the blood. So this is what I was trying to squeeze myself into at the time back then, was as a social media specialist. I know better now, but looking at that now, my metaphor just like sings healthcare.
It does. It certainly does. It definitely sings, you know,
to you.
I see, 100% to me. You know, you said your specialism is the high interest in the working whole of a business, and that's me. You know, it is as you said, the heart, the skeleton, the nerves, the tissue, the organs, the hormones, the blood. It's everything. It's all the nitty-gritty details, but it's everything. I see my role as bringing all of that together. It's like you may as well have a heart, a kidney, a liver, but it's actually bringing them all together and putting them all in the right places so that they all work collaboratively, collectively, and you then all achieve what you're trying to achieve
as a whole,
with that common goal in mind, basically. Yeah, exactly. So I do resonate with that massively.
Good,
100%.
I'm glad. But now since then, I've come to realize as well that when you're trying to, especially with this personal brand work, is that when you're trying to actually articulate where your uniqueness lies, this sometimes helps to then frame where your expertise actually is, and then it actually gives you clues to your specialism, if that makes sense. So the first place we start with personal branding work is we look at your strengths and where they lie. So this is an exercise where you would use a tool like we use Clifton Strengths from Gallup to do this assessment, which means answering loads of questions, which you've done for me, which will drill down onto what your top 5 strengths are. So you did your Clifton Strengths for me in preparation for today.
I did.
So I'm very excited to jump into this now. So first I want to see what did you think of, now bearing in mind you only did the top 5, there are 34 strengths. Yeah. So tell me what you thought when you went through those top 5 strengths.
I actually couldn't disagree with them, to be fair. I don't know if you want to sort of mention what they are, but I'm gonna go through all of them in detail. Yeah, so okay, so I actually felt like I did connect with each one on an individual basis, and I could see how that applied to me. Yeah. I know in particular the first one you're very excited about, yes. And we'll get there in a moment about that. And I've got sort of my own twist on that as to why I think that's number 1, actually. Okay. Which I'll happily open up about in a second. But I do agree with every single point of the 5 points that have come up. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's definitely me. I recommend actually people doing this because, yeah, it kind of opens your eyes a little bit about yourself. I wouldn't have put those as my top 5 key strengths, I don't think. Maybe 1 or 2 of them. But actually then answering those questions, having that fed back to you, I'm like, okay, yeah, opens your eyes a little bit more.
Is it because you feel like it just comes easy and natural to you? So you think, oh, is that a thing? When I just do it because it comes to me? Is it part of that?
I think maybe, yeah, potentially. I don't know how my brain works sometimes, but sometimes it clicks and I've got the answer. I'm quite good at seeing the bigger picture, the end result, or how things can be affected by, if a decision I make, how that could be affected even like 10 decisions down the line, 10 steps down the line, exactly that. Yeah. So I'm very conscious of that. And I think these answers definitely kind of fed into that.
All right. So for the benefit of the listeners, excuse me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a bit of context as to why strengths helps with sharpening up where your unique talents lie. And then I'm just going to share what I got from looking at your profile. I was jumping up and down a little bit. I was very excited. So first, like I said before, the tool we use is Gallup's Clifton Strengths. So through extensive research and analysis of human behavior and performance, they are basically identified these 34 distinct talent themes or strengths, which everybody has, but all in varying degrees and priorities. So they are mainly grouped into these 4 top level categories, right? So we got strategic thinking. So these are all the talents that help you to absorb and analyze information that helps you inform better decisions. Then you've got influencing, and these help you to take charge, speak up, and make sure that others are being heard. And then you have relationship building, which is the 3rd one, and these help you to build strong relationships that hold a team together. And then the 4th category is execution or executing. So these are the talents that, you make things happen, basically. So now when you do the Clifton Strengths, you do all of these questions. Probably takes half an hour, 45 minutes to do?
I think, it took me about 25 minutes. Okay. I think it was about 200 questions, which sounds daunting at first, but actually it really wasn't.
It goes quickly.
Yeah, it goes really quickly. Yeah.
Okay. So now, bearing in mind the conversations we've already had about your specialism and this generalism and I'm a bitty and I kind of orchestrate things, I think your strengths profile basically just nails where your expertise are actually lying. So your top 5 strengths came out at, so number 1 was futuristic, which is the exciting one. Number 2, communication. Number 3, strategic. Number 4, achiever. And number 5, arranger. And which absolutely, when you read the detail, it tracks with everything that you've shared with me so far. Right.
I couldn't agree more.
And there were 2 high-ranking categories for you, and there was strategic thinking, which was your futuristic and your strategic strength, that fell into that category, and then execution, which is the achiever and the arranger. And when you've been talking to me, you've talked about the big picture and moving things around, but also what you've talked to me a lot about, because we have a similar need for efficiency in systems, is like not just only having those big pictures and being able to move things about, but it's actually getting the systems in place to make sure it damn well gets done as well.
Exactly that.
But what was really fascinating is your second highest ranking was communication. And that actually sits within the influencing category, right? So when you match that with your futuristic as well as your strategic strengths, it basically means that not only are you incredible at seeing what's in the future and connecting all these unseen dots and mapping out how to get there from here, you can also really clearly articulate and communicate what you're envisioning to others in a way that they get it and really quickly, which is an amazing skill. Not everybody can do that,
I agree. I completely agree. I've always pride
myself. That's it. Pride
myself. Yeah,
yes.
I've always prided myself on the fact that I can communicate well. I don't really have too much of an issue of striking up a conversation with anybody.
Besides the fact that we couldn't get the word pride out right now. But
except for that, yeah.
Let's just erase that.
We're all allowed to have a blank moment in our heads now and again.
I would just let everybody know it's very warm today, so we are steaming.
Hence the red. I want to open my door.
No dogs.
No dogs.
No. So really what your strengths profile is showing me that your specialism is clearly how your brain is actually wired to see the future and to solve big challenges of how to get from here to there, and also maximizing opportunities. And with that kind of specialism, you can basically apply that to any field, any industry, and it's an inherent skill that you're just born with, actually, and you can't be taught. So it's amazing. How does that feel?
Thank you.
Knowing that.
Thank you. It's. I don't know how I can explain how it makes me feel, but I can't disagree with it. I think it just makes sense. It kind of answers everything for me. I think if I'd have done this 10 years ago, I think the results would have been very different. I think over the last 10 years of running a business, I've had to learn, adapt, develop myself to be a business owner, basically, and run a business. And I do think parts of me has completely changed off the back of that. I can't disagree with it whatsoever. The only thing I think of is the relationship building. There's not a blue category in there of relationship building.
No, but you do a lot of it.
But I do a lot of it. And I think if I'd got all the 34 or 35 results, it would have been in there. At least in the top 10 Definitely. Potentially. But I think with the communication element and the arranger I think that builds nicely into the relationship building of the team element, because I have got a great team and they are all, they do like me as a boss, not blowing my own trumpet here, but they do like me as a boss. Yeah. And I'm very conscious of them and how things can affect them. So, I don't try to put too much pressure on them because of that. So I get it.
Yeah, no, really good. And the arranger bit, it very much clicks into the orchestration and moving parts and things like that. When you read that strength, that's definitely, I did my all 34 because I can't just stop at 5. So I definitely, even in my top 10 are some of the things I thought, would have been in my top 5, but they are definitely in my top 10. But I think we pull on different strengths as we need them throughout the day.
100%. Just to touch on the first point, the futuristic one,
the
twist I was thinking of was, so as much as I do have this vision and I can sort of see, okay, well, this is the end goal, this is the future, this is where we want to be moving forward. Yeah. I think as well, that also encompasses the effects decisions can make in the future. Yeah. So it's not just about, okay, this is where we want to be, this is how we're going to move forward. It's also, okay, the here and now, but the decision that we could make right now, how that could also be affected in the future. So I'm very conscious of that in a lot of decisions that are made. But
that's strategic strength, which you've got at number 3, is it?
Yes, number 3.
That is what the strategic strength is. So that strategic strength is, because that's the one I have at number 1. And
Okay.
that's the one where you can play those what if scenarios. We talked about this, didn't we? Like having an AI brain that basically dismisses the ones that won't work like immediately. We don't even have to think them through very much because we know they're just not going to work. So I think that married with you being able to see what's coming and, you know, and generally it's a positive view. You have a positive view on what's coming in the future. But marrying that with your strategic, that plays into that dismissing of things that won't work, you know?
Yes. Yeah, completely.
Yeah, which is brilliant.
Completely get that.
Someone understands me. Thank the Lord. I found someone. So knowing all of that now, and we've kind of like, I think I found strengths were quite settling for me. So similar to you, where I thought, oh, well, because it's just been me and it's a natural thing that's easy, I never really thought about it as valuable or useful because I was like, oh, it's just the way my brain works. But actually that's the part that makes us, you know, pretty unique, you know. So now if we kind of shine that onto subject matter expert, and you brought up before, because you've got some very specific examples and we don't have those very much in more generic industry. So what would you define the concept of subject matter expert? What would you give a definition for that for?
Not myself.
Don't do that.
Going back to what we were saying at the
Yeah,
beginning of me being a jack of all trades, master of none. However, my team, you know, let's look at my team as an example of that one. The tissue viability expert that I just mentioned at the start as well. They would be a subject matter expert, 100%. They know the skin inside and out.
It's very
and,
concentrated focus, isn't it?
Very, very concentrated. So I would kind of consider a subject matter expert basically being well versed in what they do, what they know. They've got that knowledge, they've got that experience, they've got the expertise, they've studied for it. They literally know the ins and outs. You can ask them a question and they've got the answer, and they can probably talk for half an hour at least about that answer. That's the knowledge that they've got in there, that they've worked hard for. But it's also key to remain that they're not arrogant. They're not sat there going, I know absolutely everything. They know that every day that comes is a new day, an opportunity to learn, and something might have changed. There might be something that, okay, we've done this like this for the last 20 years, but this new piece of evidence actually is showing us that we shouldn't be doing it in this way. We should actually be doing it in that way. And if they sit there and go, oh, I know everything, blah, 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 well, then they're not going to find that new piece of information, that new legislation or that new guidance, and then educate themselves on that. So therefore, they're now actually out of date. They're not a subject matter expert because they've been arrogant in thinking that they know absolutely everything. So I think it's a mixture of them. Yes, they do know everything about what their specific area is. That deep knowledge, 100%, but also the experience. You know, they've had that hands-on experience. You know, it's all well and good you reading a textbook or doing your research, but then actually applying it in a practical way is different. You know, you come across situations that you're like, okay, this wasn't in the textbook. What do we do here? And it's experience that gives you the answer to that, which is why it's key, especially within the health and social care sector, that you do have someone that's experienced, almost peer reviewing you at times to make sure that what you're doing is correct. You've got that opportunity to learn off of them, and it's applying that. But it's then also, it's like I said a second ago, it's not being arrogant, knowing that there's always more to learn, more ways of developing yourself. And I would nail it down as literally that. It is knowing everything, but knowing that you don't know everything and there's more to learn. Every day is a new learning opportunity. And having that confidence to be able to sit in a room in front of a people and answer any questions that get fired to you in that domain, and having the answer, having the ability to be able to make that answer. So that for me would be a subject matter expert, and that can be applied with anything. It doesn't just have to be health and social care.
No, but it's a good example though, I think. So on the topic of defining things, so what can you share with me what you think of the concept of personal brand? What do you think that's defined as?
Just being who you are as a person. If you aren't true to yourself, then how can you be true to someone else at the end of the day? If you've I believe one of your other guests has mentioned it previously, and I was like, spot on. I
that
completely
Ryan?
agree.
Yeah.
Was Ryan?
Yeah.
And he'd said that if you're going to pretend to be someone else to that person, you've got to remember who you were.
Yeah, that's exhausting.
And I'm like, that's not being true to yourself. That's not your personal brand. You know, you need to just be who you are. You know, if you are a caring person, then be a caring person. You know, you can make decisions and go, I'm not going to do this maybe quite by the book. You know, if there was a difficult situation for me at work, as an example, and HR company may go, that could be a disciplinary. I could go, well, actually, I know the person, I know the individual, I have time, I have care for them. Actually, a disciplinary might not be the answer for them as an individual, because realistically, like, you know, that could make the situation a lot worse. There might be other ways in which we can manage and deal with whatever the situation is. So I think it's kind of being true to yourself. I am a caring person. I do like to look after my staff and my team. And if things don't quite fully work, I sit down, it's a conversation. Right, okay, well, what can we do to make it better for you? And I would believe that's kind of my brand. You know, I communicate well. I've always got a smile on my face, and I do care for you, especially if you're an employee and you work for me. I do care for you. You know, you're a key cog in the whole operation that's going, and I can't let any cog go. You know, I have to. Everyone's different. Everyone needs their own different needs, and it's adapting what works for that.
I think you've got the empathy as well, so
100%.
That's got to be up
100%.
there in your top 10 for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. I need to maybe redo it, don't I? Get my top.
Well, I think you could just upgrade it, and it'll give you the rest.
Okay.
Yeah,
There we
the
go.
rest.
Maybe
there
I
we
need
go.
to look at
Press
that.
the other button. Yeah. So there's two other questions, Matt, as well, that I'd like to ask everyone that's come on. So you would have heard it in the previous episodes, and the one is like where I'm really curious about this genius zone. So where time just disappears and you're in the flow and you're just literally in the zone doing the thing that makes you happiest, and you're either really calm and relaxed and at ease, you know, everybody's genius zone is different, or you're highly charged, excited and motivated. So it's very different for everyone. So if you had to describe when you're, you know, really in it and in the flow, doing the thing that you're best at, what does that look and feel like for you?
Do you know what's really interesting, actually? Where we had our first conversation with each other, when we first met, I actually had a really fast-paced afternoon after that.
You did,
I had some friends come over that evening for dinner, and I got talking about about my work day, and I talked about this particular question to them, actually, and I said, today's that day. I was like that. It's fast paced. There's lots of stuff going on. Like there's that going on, and I've got to dip in and out. And it's just, I find that when there's stuff going on constantly, it's busy. There's this challenge, there's that challenge. That's where I'm in my zone. Don't get me wrong, it can be really stressful, and at the end of the day, you can kind of go like, "Whoa, what a stressful day!" But I'm still quite energetic by it all. I'm still quite very excited by it all. So I quite like that challenge of there's different parts, different things going on throughout the day, and they're all various, you know, very very different in what's going on, but. I like to dip in and go, right, okay, what's going on? What's problem here? What can we solve here? So for me, it's kind of getting into that zone, it being fast-paced, lots of moving parts, and to be fair, when that is happening, my days just go like that really, really quickly.
But that really taps into the achiever, which was your fourth, and fifth, your arrangers. Your achiever is, there are people that just like to have lots of things going on, and they like to tick a list and make sure they've done stuff. They feel productive. They feel energized. They think that they did. They can't stand a day where there's nothing to do. You know, even if it's personal life, it's like, right, get out there, go to the theatre, have dinner, meet friends, do the next thing. You know, you're energized.
Mow the lawn.
God, it's not on my list.
Generally chores that need doing. Like you go, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that.
Does that make you happy? Good, you can come over.
In a roundabout way, sometimes, yeah.
Oh dear, right. So
it's that ticking of a list you mentioned.
It's the ticking of the list, yeah.
Yep.
And the last one is, would you count joy as one of your success measures today?
Today, 100%.
I've said that for a reason.
Yeah. Today, 100%, because going back, 10, 12 years ago, probably not. I was in my young 20s then, and I was out in the big wide world of work and freshly an adult, and my key motivator then would have been establishing myself financially, having the job security element, and finding my feet in the world, really. So joy didn't really play a part in that then. You know, joy for me was, yes, go out, have fun with your friends at the weekend or the evenings or whatever. And joy came from that. But just joy as an overall indicator, I don't think so then. But now, yes, 100%. I've worked hard. I'm 11 years on now, and I've got everything I've worked hard for. So I'm fortunate enough to be very comfortable in life that I can now consider joy as an indicator of success, because I feel successful for where I am in life, that I now can be joyful of the life I have, if that makes any sense. I don't know if you can sort of pick at that anymore, but like that's kind of how I would describe that. Yeah.
Perfect. Oh, Matt, I've so enjoyed our time together, man. I really appreciate you coming to share yourself with me today. I think what I've loved is that you've reminded me what it's like when you are still navigating your way through your area of expertise as well, and just trying to find, like, where do you fit in? Like, you know, who are you in the world, you know? And from your strengths, I think it's clear to me that your talent and your expertise can be applied to just about any industry, as long as you align yourself with that industry or the type of people that you want to serve and work with. And, you know, you'll just be A for a way, no matter where you go, no matter what you do. And I think that's a rare strength. So I think you should be really proud of the fact that your specialism is almost as a strategic systemic generalist, if you like. If I had to give it a name, there you go. Do you want a label? There you go.
I like that.
And you've also got a mind that just flourishes when, you know, having to do all of that orchestrating of moving parts. Whereas for somebody else, like we said, it might exhaust them or completely stress them out. But actually, it's where you know, it's your
thrive.
Yeah, it's where you thrive.
I do.
Absolutely. So for other people, trying to manage not only just the daily moving parts to a business, but also the bigger picture shifts, which could be happening at the same time, this would really stress them out, right? To the point of paralysis. But for you, it's like fertile ground for your, like, sizzling, amazing brain, you know? So you are a genius, man.
Definitely is.
You are a genius.
I don't know if I got that far, but thank you.
We'll plant the seed. If anybody's listening today that want to find out more about you or the work that you do with Ashfield, how can they find you?
So they can give us a Google, Ashfield Services. We are ashfieldservices.co.uk. Or they can find me on LinkedIn. Just search Matthew Attfield, and hopefully I should come up and hit connect, drop me a message, and
and say that they listen to you on the show. Yes.
Yes, exactly. Let me know that you've listened.
And I'll put that all in the show notes as well. So thanks a lot, Matt.
Thank you very much.
Okay. And that's it for this episode, folks. So thank you so much for joining us. So what did you think about that? Did it help realizing that actually, if you are great at a lot of things and sometimes are the only one holding everything together, that does actually qualify as a talent and a specialism in and of itself? So one of my biggest takeaways from Matthew was when we were chatting in our prep session and we got down to some of the things that actually strategic specialists sometimes need in order to be great at what they do. And for him, he actually gains energy and inspiration and ideas from physically changing his environment drastically. He does this by traveling to exotic new places he hasn't been before. And I know we didn't chat about it, but we did talk about it in our prep conversation as well. So while he shared that actually he felt a bit guilty because he traveled, it was clear to me that the benefits of him actually doing the traveling and then returning back to the business was twofold. So not only did he return more focused and energized, but he was also more motivated and the ideas were just flowing. So if you're a knowledge worker, you know that we have to make the time and the space that is right for us for thinking, dreaming, and mulling things over. And every one of us is different. So what that space and time looks like will be different. The sooner you work out how this looks for you, the more you'll be able to flex your strengths, which are at the heart of your genius talents, which the world wants more of from you. When I work with clients on their personal brand, we do this work on their strengths identification and also nailing down what their genius zone looks like so that you can access it more. If you're curious about doing this kind of work with me, drop me a line and we'll book in a time to speak, and I'll drop my details in the show notes for you. So who do you know who could do with listening to this episode and Matthew's conversation with me? Share this episode. You know you want to. Until next time, my friend, stay strong, believe you have value, and make good brand decisions.
Thank you for listening to The Brand Compass. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with your entrepreneurial friends and help them make good brand decisions. Until next time, let's keep the conversation going at 𝗘𝗣𝗜𝗦𝗢𝗘𝗘𝗟𝗟.